Welcome everybody, ladies, gentlemen, children. Welcome to 31st of July 2020. It's a Friday night. It's absolutely baking in the UK, but we're all set for tonight's race, which is the finale of this short series, this DTM16 series, which will be held at Hockenheimring tonight. And I can't think of anyone more apt to help me with the commentating tonight than last season's DTM16 winner. I'm joined by Helmet. Welcome aboard, Helmet.
Good evening and welcome everybody. This should be some good racing tonight. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's set, isn't it? So far, if we just run through, did a little recap of where the season standings are. This is the fourth of 4 races. And I'll just run through the top 5 places in the championship so far. So in the lead here is Martin Peterman. He's on 213 points, which is a clear 60 or so points ahead of Vizar, who's in second place. In third place, trailing by maybe 14 points, is Gabzi. And in fourth place is Dirk Gretschel, who's on 123. So he's trailing only by another 18 or so points. And then in fifth place, we have FX, who's in 114, again, another 12. So you're looking at the top from 2 till 5, and actually all the way down to about position 10. The gaps are getting smaller and smaller. The pack there is quite crunched up. I mean, what's your feeling, Helmut? Do you think we might be in for a surprise tonight, or are we going to be seeing the same old, same old?
I'm going to be honest, I think Martin's going to take some beating. He's super quick in this class. But out of the next 5 or 6 drivers there, easily could be any one of those guys, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, it's all up for grabs. It's like you said, maybe the podium positions are really up for grabs tonight. We have a couple of our top 10 in the championship who have not made it into quali tonight. So in position 8 in the championship, Jan Mulman on 112 points. He doesn't look like he's going to show for this quali session. And likewise, Timo hasn't made it either. I'm going to refuse trying to attempt his surname because I made such a fool of myself last week. But he's also not showing up this week as well. So that means the door's open for a few of the others, possibly even into Charger, who might get in. I think maybe the gap is too big to Madal. There's a good 20-point gap to Madal in 12th position. But yeah, I think there's quite an opportunity for the drivers here tonight to get onto the podium, if not to beat Martin. So where are we? We're in Hockenheimring, or Hockenheim if you can't be bothered with the ring bit at the end. This is a reasonably long track. This is around 2.8 miles, 4.5 kilometers. It's 15 corners, 7 to the right and 8 to the left, with an offset parabolica, a very, very tight hairpin, 3 extended chicanes, and a couple of long sweeping bends that are unpredictably known as parabolicas. It's actually a really, really fast track. Lots of different areas where you can gain advantage on each other, not just in the speedy sections under DRS, but also through some of the more technical sections in the infield. It's actually a very old track, and it's like many tracks across Europe. It's based on an old World War II airport, for war maneuvers. I love the fact that it says in the commentator's notes here, it was actually created by Christ, which is Ernst Christ, in 1930. It used to be used for motorcycles, so right up your street there, Helmet.
Yeah, nice.
Maybe you've got a 1930s bike somewhere tucked in your garage.
No, I wish.
Oh, do you really? Okay. Actually, so many different variants of this track. My memory has it very much going into the forest when I was a kid, with long straights, extremely dangerous. And then they put in these chicanes, which were brutal for cars that were tracking in at 200 mile an hour. Fabulous circuit. We'll see in a moment there for Vizar. Probably bail on that lap. And yeah, so many different changes, but this current circuit has been in operation for a number of years now. It's basically been used for all kinds of race formats. So you'll get bike racing here, touring cars, F1, F2, F5000, GT, Le Mans, and of course DTM. Our DTM season after COVID lockdown is restarting actually this week in Spa-Francorchamps, and so the actual season re-kicks off with a fairly core team, I think. So it's always nice to hand over to the real series. There's been a lot of history here and here. I'll jump into one of the cars now, and I'll take us for a quick tour of the circuit. So let's see who's coming up to the start-finish straight. We can maybe just take a run around here. Excuse me, clicking like a nutter. Okay, let's jump in with Matto. So, start-finish straight into the first corner, which is North corner, nice. Flat out down here as fast as you can, possibly a cheeky DRS if you've got one. Late braking into this corner and then gliding through here. Caution not to get too hefty with the pedal on exit there as you ride the curve to exit out of Einfahrt Parabolica into the main Parabolica. Flat out, obviously, all the way along here. Many times I've seen 3 cars wide along this straight.
DRS if you got it.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for DRS. It really does add such a considerable opportunity. Very deep braking into the Spitzkehre, which is a nasty hairpin, which Matto is demonstrating very well for us. Very easy to get the tail out on that exit of the hairpin into the fast right-hander here, and then brake as late as you dare into this left-hander anonymously not named corners, and because I'm not very good with numbers, I'm not going to count it through. We exit here, fast right, take a little bit of curb. You can run a little wide on there, I think, and then take as much pace as you can into the complex, which is the stadium section of the course. Careful not to keep the gas on too hard, and then it's pretty technical stuff here. So that was mobile curve we just passed, and now we're into Sachs curve as we go through this final section of the complex. Actually, Sachs curve famous for where Vettel stuck it into the wall a year or 2 ago in the Formula 1. And round Süd curve, south corner, and you've done a lap. So that was about 2.5 miles. We've got some significant difference here in the lap times here. Helmut, what do you feel? Are these the final times, or do you think there's more to go here with 5 minutes left of quali?
No, I think Martin and the top 5 or 6 there will push it as hard as they can. I think race pace will be slightly slower than that, but around about 134s, 35s perhaps.
Yeah, we're looking at the moment with a delta of 1.2 second between Martin Peterman in pole position on Dirk Gretschel in second. He's 1.3 ahead of Vizar in third. So they're packing up very similar to how they're spread. But Gabsy, I'm just running down here. Gabsy's currently qualifying with a 3.8 delta on Martin in pole position, which is interesting because he's third in the table, but clearly not yet reaching his peak pace.
Yeah, it looks like he's struggling with quali a little bit tonight, I think.
Yeah, we were talking about this before. It sometimes doesn't matter. Sometimes it's absolutely crucial. You were just sharing a story of 15th to 4th. It's very possible to do that if you change your strategy, or if you just get lucky and you seem to avoid all of the nasty incidents. What's your feeling about strategy tonight? Are typically people going to hit their tyres at the mandatory pit stop down the middle, or are they going to play sneaky?
My gut feel is 1 or 2 may go long, but most will do a 50-50 or go long, I think. Yeah, 70-30 sort of split, roughly.
And how much of that do you think is on the fly, or do you go into it with that in mind?
Well, the bonus of going in, one or the other gives you some options in your strategy. But again, I think having raced these cars, fuel does make a bit of a difference. Tyres going off makes a difference. Being honest, the 50-50 split worked for me, but some people really make going long work as well. Yeah, those are probably the 2 options I think we'll see.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little way as well, that traffic's always a thing here, isn't it? It's obviously there's not a team of engineers sat in our back bedrooms or gaming rooms giving us advice about when is the optimal window to actually pit in order to give clean track on exit, and it can really pay dividends if you time it right. You can exit on an empty track, get your head down, get into the groove, put some really great sequence of laps in without having to hit any back markers, without having to get any long-winded battles with anyone else, and that could be the key here if you get open space.
Yeah, I think if you manage your pace with a clear track, you haven't even got to go crazy fast. You can still put consistent laps in. You'll match and really improve your positions if you're lucky.
Yeah. So we are 2 minutes left, so a chance for a couple more laps to go in here. Martin is currently watching the scoreboard from the pit lane, it looks to me, just to make sure that he's not a threat. The gap has closed. Dirk Gretschel has closed that to just a shave over a second. Dirk's still out there pressing hard. And Vizar still holding third here with Mad Hal, who's put in a stunning lap here. He's 1.7 second behind, with Jürgen Walby just short behind. So maybe Jürgen's also settling or potentially thinking of one. You could probably just get one lap in here because it's a 1 minute 30 lap. If you exit now, you should make it round for a final fast lap. Marco's holding sixth, with FX in seventh. British in 8th, Holm Anderson in 9th, Varley's in 10th, Miguel Perez is in 11th. I apologise, he's in 12th because
Gabsy's just moved up.
Gabsy just pushed himself up into 11th, which is 2.9 trailing. So yeah, Gabsy looks like he's got a bit of work to do here. So where does that leave us if we're looking at here? That puts Dirk Gretschel in a strong position to take second. Maybe a podium position, because Dirk's currently sitting in 4th in the championship, and he's qualified excellently in 2nd place at the moment, with a minute to go.
Yeah, you can't rule Dirk and Vizar out either, though. I mean, all of those guys. I think my money, any of those top 7 or 8 there could easily take that.
Have you got an outside bet? If you were a betting man, would you tip anyone for an outsider here? Looking at the way we're lining up into this final section of quali.
I'm expecting Martin to probably win this, no question. But I think Vizar could take second. He's definitely got the pace. And again, like I said earlier, Marco, Gabsy, there's some strong times there from people. FX exactly. As well, It's going to be interesting. I'd like to see some different names up there. It'd be good.
Yeah, I was sharing my experiences before. I've done a fair amount of simming, a couple of 3 years, much like yourself. It's great racing, but I'm surprised at how much great fun it is commentating on it as well, because the racing's just so much fun. It's so fair, it's so gentlemanly, and here are the final positions in here. So Martin has qualified in 1st, Dirk in 2nd, Vizar in 3rd, Mad Al, Jürgen, Marco and FX, British, Holm Anderson and Varley hold up the top 10 there. Gabsy just outside of the top 10, so he'll be looking to rectify that in race. Who else is a surpriser here? I think we've got people who are kind of probably fitting their positions in the table at the moment, but probably the one most.
Mad Al's had a good result there.
Yeah, Mad Al has positioned himself well ahead of where he would be in the championship here.
Keep a keen eye on Al then tonight, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm not sure what your view is in it, but do you ever take the warm up? I'm always too nervous to take the warm up, so I tend to opt out.
I really do. Sometimes I might go out if it's a standing start race like these. I might go out and just practice a couple of starts, but normally I'm racing to the bathroom for my pre-race nerves week.
This is just age showing, I'm afraid. I do exactly the same. Yeah. At the same time, I drink a little bit more water, try and make sure the temperature of the room isn't baking hot like it is tonight.
Yeah, things don't feel right in your rig when out unless you've had a pre-race, nerves week,
Correct. Yeah, I had the joy of actually having some real racing in my life, and there was always a queue for the loo 10 minutes before scrutineering.
That's it, yeah. And then 30 minutes before the first start, again, and then again.
Yes. Now you really are showing your age.
Mentally 12. Physically 50.
Oh, and that should always be the case. That's my life strategy, actually. Yeah, act like a 12-year-old. Seems to work. So we're looking forward to this one. Had some really great racing, so a little short on numbers tonight. We have 17 races. Previous 3 races have been over 20 in the field, but we have had some very high attrition. Last week there was at least 7 drivers who didn't manage to finish. There were some high-speed crashes, and that was at Zandvoort, which is quite nasty for some of the sections. A toe off on a curb and you're into a wall, race over. I think it's very quick here. There's a couple of catch areas. Where do you think the potentially high risk area is to catch a wall and be end of race here?
For me, there's a couple of points on this circuit that would always catch me out. One is turn 2, the parabolica, getting back on the gas way too early. Everyone's keen to get on that straight and get it lit up and get the DRS on, and it's really easy to get it out of shape and end up in the wall. Done it lots of times. And then obviously at the end of the parabolica, the hairpin, again, much the same story really. People are really keen to get back on the gas for the next section, which is flat out, and again often end up in the wall. It's really easily done, and I've seen many a race thrown away there.
Yeah, in both of those cases, and possibly in my experience, I might add turn 1 as well, often overcooking that curb and going too wide. They seem, all three of those places on the track, to be recoverable. The runoff area is reasonably wide on those corners, so you're losing time. You're definitely going to lose track position, but you're probably not going to flatten the car in a wall so badly here.
No, I mean, turn 1's one of those corners I find taking it slightly easier and being sensible around there, you can actually be a lot quicker than trying to clip the curb and run wide. We're close, mate. It's nearly kick-off.
Yep, we are 30 seconds to go. Just watching the guys placing up as we get ready for this, the finale of the DTM16. Really exciting. Looking forward to seeing how the start gets on here. This might be a great opportunity for the lead to be stolen. Let's see how Martin copes under pressure in that first turn, with Dirk in second position, Vizar and Madal in fourth on the second row. As we start the race off, we have red lights. And they're off, and there's a couple of turn-ins. It's already a good start there from the second row of the grid, and I think Dirk's made a bit of a slow start. He's dropped down to fourth position as we turn into the first corner. So Martin with the lead comfortably at the moment, with Vizar tracking in second here. So a good start from Vizar, and Madal's got himself into position too, but Vizar seems to have outbroken himself into the first corner. That's a great opportunity for Madal to come through there. He has, I think, actually Vizar has held that, but he has. Vizar's held that. It looked like he really overcooked the braking there, but you can see Madal under a massive amount of pressure here, straight away from Dirk Gretschel. But it looks, looking back at the pack, like there's been no major incidents.
Al's got the inside in the hairpin, so keep it sensible, mate. There you go.
Yeah, gentle on the throttle. Great work. So Madal holds on there, keeps his third position, which is great positioning. Dirk pressuring hard. Gabsy now putting a lot of pressure here on Holm Anderson in the middle of the pack, and you can see everyone being a little cautious, making sure that they don't make the wrong mistake. This is an hour-long race, easy to overshoot in the first couple of races. Got to keep your head, got to keep cool in these first couple of laps, and seems like everybody has. There's a runner very, very wide there. That looks like it could be Dirk. He's lost another position there. So Dirk, who's qualified in second, has now dropped down to fifth position already, which puts his championship positions slightly at risk. He was at fourth at the moment, so looking like an interesting start for Dirk. He's got to gather his thoughts, I think, as he gets back into this race.
It does. If he wants a chance at third or higher on that podium, he's going to have to pull something out of the hat, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, looking good at the front. Martin Peterson has extended his lead here to, oh, I daren't say it, come on, I've got to have a mistake on the board here. No, I think, yeah, it's about 6 seconds. I think he's got a 6-second lead here over Vizar in second, Jorgen in third, Madal in fourth, and Dirk Gretschel in fifth. Going back down the grid here, let's take a look. It's British here, which looks like there's quite a considerable pack building up around here. Looks like FX might put a move on the inside. He's going underneath the wing here. Let's see if he makes a dive. Really strong on the brakes, and he keeps it very tidy. That's really nice exit, very, very clean pass there for FX, who moves up to seventh. Marco now pushing in eighth, with Holm Anderson in ninth. Mr. Judd here in 10th, with Gabsy tracking. Gabsy needs to move up this table if he's to retain his third position in the championship, I feel. Varley in 12th, Charger in 13th there, Perez in 14th, Matto in 15th, Cos in 16th, and at the back is Justin Burley. Looks like a race going on here in the middle of the pack here. Mr. Judd putting some pressure, Miguel Perez, sorry, putting some pressure on Mr. Judd. Charger holding a safe middle of the track line in front of them. So far, so clean, which is exactly how it should be.
Really good clean start. No incidents. Good to see. Some good racing here. Really good.
Yeah, it's great racing. It's well worth remembering the reason why everybody is still on the track and nobody is being abusive in any chat channels is because of the way that RWB sets themselves up. It's such a great race ethic to adopt. It's basically based around the order of how you attack this race. You always race clean. That's your number one priority. You have to race fair, so there's no cheating, there's no bad behavior on the track, but in final place, in third place, is racing for position. We want people to be positive and aggressive to get their spaces, but not at the cost of racing clean or racing fair, and that's why you end up with these great visual spectacles. I love this camera as we turn into Spitzkehre.
Yeah, it's a good angle. It's just worth noting already Martin Peterman is pulling away. I mean, he's running high 133s as his race pace. That's mad.
It is a little bit mad, given when we look down the last laps that have posed as valid laps. Most of the fast guys are in the 35s, so just to put what Helmut said in context, that's a clear 1.5 second slower than Martin at the front of the pack there, and then the slower car at the back here is about 139. But it's actually not always about that, is it, Helmut? Sometimes I'm slow and I can be in a pack like this and having just a buzz of a time.
Yeah, I think some of the best racing we all have sometimes is in the mid-pack and swapping places and not necessarily clearing off in a race and having an empty track. That can be pretty dull. I don't get the opportunity that much, but you know, some do, and it looks dull. And this sort of racing, you can't beat it. Look how close they are.
No, that's just fantastic. We are looking at from Marco through to probably Varley, I think here, at least 6 or 7 cars, nose to tail, but that takes really, really skill to not make contact. A little bit there.
Gabsy's in the middle of that. He's moved up another place, which is good. And Charger's creeping up the ladder as well. So, it's not. Don't write Gabsy off yet. I think he may well get up the field a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, it's early days. You can see on the left there, the rest of the leading pack is stringing out, but this group is having an absolute ding dong. 2 wide, sometimes 3 wide around the track here. It's absolutely fantastic. This track, we touched on it a little bit before. These cars are brutal cars, around about 500 horsepower, mostly V8 driven, rear-wheel drive cars. They're space frames, so there's no steel chassis here, so the centre of gravity is actually reasonably low, but they're very stiff-bodied, which you'll know if you've ever driven them in the simulators. They feel stiff as a car. There's very little movement. But incredibly powerful and very light, with around 1,200 kilogram total weight, which puts them probably in the early mid 3 seconds to 60. But it's really all about the lack of traction control in this. You mentioned it before, turn 2 into 3, really easy to get it wrong there. Where else do you see the lead foot getting in the way?
Possibly the last couple of corners before the start and finish straight. It's easy again to get slightly on a curb there and clip the curb, unsettle the car. You know, these cars don't do well being unsettled on the curbs, and I've seen a few people go wide and lose the line there.
Well, that looked like that could be Varley going backwards. He just he did exactly what you were talking about previously. I think he got a little bit excited on the throttle, lost traction, the rear rotated very, very gently and put him in the grass on the side. So Varley has dropped back. He's now a good 30 seconds back in 14th as we sit on board with Mr. Judd as he goes into Spitzkehre. And another spinner there. That looked like that could well
Perez,
have been Perez, possibly Perez, yeah. I think so. Let's head back to Mr. Judd. That was interesting watching him tracking behind there. So he's on the back of Charger.
Yeah, he's not going to get by Charger. Charger has a special button on his dashboard that makes his car 4 times wider than everyone else's.
Let's see that in action. I love this. It's a real skill. I mean, I was enjoying watching Leclerc when he was not driving a Ferrari. He was doing this for lap after lap in the Formula One Grand Prix. It's actually very skillful to make sure that you put your car in the right place at the right time. But it says something about the driver in front who doesn't make mistakes under a huge amount of pressure. I mean, that takes a lot of concentration when somebody's all over your boot for lap after lap.
Worth noting, yeah, I totally agree. Just noting Vizar's just got himself a slowdown there.
Ah, okay.
Not
Where
sure
would that
how
come
long. Number of corners he could have been cut in.
Okay, you're quite right. Yeah, missed that one. So Martin still holds first position. Our lap timer here is saying that Vizar is in second, but I'd be surprised if he's had to. Are you saying he had to do a drive-through or
no? Just a slow down.
Slow.
Just a slow down.
Yeah, you're quite right. Yeah, so he has still held second, but the gap has closed. Dirk now is only 5 or 6 seconds behind Vizar here.
I mean, look, Jürgen Walby's he's a solid driver. Jürgen, he's putting pressure on Dirk now.
Yeah, very interesting.
They teammates even. This could be interesting.
Jürgen currently standing 7th in the championship here, which gives him a great points haul if he can keep this. Madal maybe dropped off pace. He was in second for a couple of laps there at the start. Dropped off a little bit, but keeping tags here.
Gabsy's climbed another place. He's in 7th.
Yeah, this looks like a solid rise in the ranks for Gabsy, doesn't it? He's currently now in 7th. And recently passed Marco and FX, I guess. Let's take a little look at
he's
Jürgen.
not really shaking them, but he has got by, which is good for him. He needed to.
Yeah, a great start here. I mean, in the scheme of things, Vizar picking up a time penalty there. It hasn't cost him track position. It's not cost him points position in that case. At this point in time, so it's neither here nor there, I guess, if you're Vizar.
No, it wasn't a big one by the looks of it, but sometimes they can have a pretty bad effect on you psychologically if you've got to actually slow down and lose time.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess if it's for a repeat offence on a certain corner, that puts you on ultra caution for that corner going forwards, which could cost you a quarter of a second a lap if you're just being a little bit too conservative from there on in.
And it'll knock your rhythm. I'm terrible for that. It can knock my rhythm off for 2 or 3 laps, and you'll lose 10 seconds or something if you're not careful with that.
Yeah, actually, that's worth talking a bit about. Rhythm is a really important thing in racing. What do you mean when you say rhythm? For anyone who's not been doing racing much, what does that mean to you?
So, for example, if you have a series of corners, I mean, we're practicing Silverstone at the minute for our GT4, ACC GT4 league, where you come off the start and finish straight, the series of corners there. Getting your line wrong in one and getting a wide sets you up badly for the next corner, and then that corner will set you up badly for the next one. So your rhythm can be about your racing line and your momentum, your braking points, your acceleration points. You get to fast laps, you've got to keep rinsing and repeating the same procedure time and time again, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's a funny one.
Lap times.
I understand. It's all about consistency. I've always thought that you spend a fair amount of time making your mistakes on your circuit and your car setups, and then you get to a place where you've created a kind of a safe lap for you. It might not be the best lap, but it's a safe lap for you, and it's the one that you fall back on. Oh, nearly put it up the inside there, as FX tried to make a move on Marco. But yeah, trying to find that place where you can go back to really get your groove back again. But like you said, it just takes experience and track hours, really, in order to find that groove that you can always find, no matter how much pressure you're under. As FX looks like he might go. Now he's showing himself just to keep Marco on his toes. We are around about 13 or 14 minutes into this race. I'll just do a quick run through from the top. We have Martin Peterman, championship and race leader here, a good 70 plus seconds ahead of Vizar in second. Dirk Gretschel, currently, who is actually 4th in the championship, currently holding 3rd place in this race, with Jürgen Walby not getting left behind here. Actually seems to be keeping a very comfortable distance from Dirk in front of him. Madal seems to have dropped a little bit back here. Certainly the gap is growing behind Walby. With with British. Actually, that's a really solid start here. British qualified in P8. He's now in P6, so he's on the up. And Gabsy, like you said, had a tough qualifying session back in 11, but he's now made himself up to 7, so that's a 4-place rise. With Marco in 8th. FX pressuring Marco in 9th here, looking like he's having a solid race as well. Holmanderson in 10th, with Mr. Judd in 11th. Varley is up from the back of the field from earlier into 12th, looking like he's having a reconstruction of his race. Miguel Perez in 13, Charger putting a pressure on Miguel there as he goes into T2, into Einfahrt. Mr. Judd looks like he's had an accident. Oh dear, that just happened there. So Mr. Judd looks like he is retiring. That was pretty crucial. So he was holding, I think, 14th in front of Matto. So Matto has moved up to 14th. Cos is in 15th, and we have Justin. Oh, Cos looks like he's in pretty bad shape as well. So he's not going to be coming up the pack anytime soon with that car. And Justin Burley is at the back of the track here, also carrying some visible damage. So it's a shame to see Mr. Judd out, but Mr. Judd is our first retiree from the race, which actually is not bad, given that we're around about a quarter of the way in.
I think Walby's just lost a few seconds to Gretschel there. But I think he's going to keep pushing him. I wouldn't rule him out of probably a podium finish at this rate.
Talk to me about the... Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying Vizar's taking it steady as well. I mean, he's managing to hold a pretty respectable time ahead of these guys. So be good if he can just stay on track and do what he keeps doing each week there. That'll be good for him. Yeah.
So talk us through the DRS here. 3 DRSs if you're allowed to. If you're within 1 second of the car in front when you cross the start finish line, you get 3 of them in the lap. Where do you use them and why do you use them?
Low reduces your downforce. Normally you're in someone's toe, you can get a reduced downforce and aero, so you get more speed, but the DRS folds the wing down and takes essentially all your wing off on the straight line. You have to be careful putting that on too soon, exiting a corner or taking corners with it on. That can be really bad, obviously. But personally, I'm obviously going to try and use one on after turn 1, and then definitely down the parabolica, and then potentially through the next section after the parabolica, after the hairpin. That's probably the 3 spots I would use it, but again, it really depends whether you've got enough of a distance to be able to do something with it as well.
Yeah, obviously Welby again picks up another DRS for this next 3 laps. We were looking at the race last week from Zandvoort, and DRS didn't really provide a great advantage. Only one long straight, but it seemed to be defendable at Zandvoort. Here, do you see an advantage of DRS? Is it worth holding it off till the right moment, or does it just not really have the same effect?
Well, watching Jürgen there, I mean, this is the section where he could really taken good advantage of that. If you're smart, I think you can get out of that turn 2 tight, get as straight a line as you can through the next part of the track and down the parabolica. You can make up good ground. Whether it's enough to actually make a pass on someone, not always going to happen, but you may well get up the inside and do some outbraking, but even that's dangerous into that hairpin, isn't it?
Yeah. It's great there, just seeing Welby's using his DRS effectively on that short burst straight. He still probably has 1 to go here, which he may use after this next right-hander to see if he can gain a little ground. It seems to be another potential chance to use the DRS, choosing not to, I think. I mean, it's not seeming to make any difference.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Welby's got all the advantages here. He's watching the guys, Dirk's lines. He knows where it's going to be best to use it, and he's holding the key to 3rd place at the moment, I think.
You think Welby might be sitting on this? He might just be taking it easy, letting the guy in front take the pressure?
No, he's got a drive to keep up with Dirk around here. I mean, he's definitely having to put the effort in, but being behind him, watching his line, seeing where he's quicker or slower, he's got the trump card, hasn't he? With any slightest mistake from Dirk, he's going to take up third place. It'll be a battle to the end for these two.
Yeah, that's probably where one of the big battles is here. We just go back down the field. Gabsy was closing in really quickly on British there. Maybe made a slip, but he looks like he's got he's absolutely pressuring now. So this is a fight for 6th place. British is currently holding 6th with Gabsy pressuring right now. Seems to be tracking him. The gap has been closing over the last few laps, and actually if we take a little look at Gabsy's profile there, nice image, we get to see some of his lap times over the last, so yeah, he's comfortably hitting the 135s as he makes a dive up the inside. That's really, really good. Oh, he looks like he made it there. Yep, Gabsy through, made a great overtake move, very safe, really good pass, yeah, for both drivers, really great driving there. And he's obviously gone pink in the last lap, which is great, so he's really on the push here, moving up the pack. So Gabsy moves up to 6th, which is good for his championship points. He's currently in 3rd. However, he can't actually really make a difference at this point because currently in 3rd behind Vizar and Martin. So there would be no positional change in the championship with Gabsy's current position. I'm just checking here. Looks like we have a 2nd retirement. Cos currently watching from the pits as well. Sorry about that, Cos. I missed it. So that's 2 retirements. We're down to 15 riders out here as we go through the pack. It's Peterman now very, very comfortable in the lead here, has been extending that lead throughout. I'm going to do what I did last week, take a moment to go on board with Martin so that I can personally pick up some notes. This is just for my benefit. Sorry to everyone watching. Really interesting to see how a driver is so consistent and so fast lap after lap. What do you put this down to, Helmut?
Again, braking points and feeling a car that you're comfortable with. It's important to have a car that you're not fighting around the track as well. Small changes, small adjustments to the handling can really help. Martin will have his car so dialed in for this track, and he's barely putting a foot wrong anywhere. Probably hasn't,
Yeah, actually, given that he's won the first 3 of the series races, and barring a really nasty mistake here, he looks like he'll win the 4th one. It's a tour de force of perfection, really. No mistakes, not got any problems. He's extended his lead from lap 1 in every race I've watched so far. As we watch Jürgen continuing to close on Dirk Gretschel here, who is only a very short distance behind Vizar. So this is the fight for 2nd place. It's all heating up here. So Vizar's dropped a little bit more time as both Dirk and Jürgen are closing the gap. So this could get interesting with 39 minutes to go in this. I wonder whether strategy for pit changes might bear effect. You might want to bail from this race because it might slow you down. What do you think? What would you be thinking now if you were Vizar at the front of this pack here, Helmut?
Just try and be consistent. Vizar is a very, very quick driver, but a bit like myself, sometimes he'll make mistakes. But everyone does that. But he needs to just focus on what's ahead of him, not be worried about the 2 guys behind. Keep to his lines, watch his braking points, just try and keep banging in consistent laps. That's all he can do, really.
Yeah.
Strategy-wise, again, he's either going to be pitting around about 30 minutes into the race, or he may run long. Not sure. Difficult to call.
And it's funny as you say that. It's not only is it his job to be consistent and drive his own race and drive forwards and not in his rearview mirror, but it's almost, when you're the driver chasing, it's almost your obligation to be as wide as you can, as leery as you can, as threatening as you can, in order to try to spook the driver in front without actually doing anything underhanded. So these guys are doing that. There's a lot of pink in his rearview mirror right now.
Yeah, it's really, really hard. I must be honest, I struggle watching people in my rear view, sometimes more than I should be. It's tough. Chasing down is much easier than being chased down, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely tightening up. I'm just watching back here. Gabsy continues to put pressure on British in 6th place there. There's very little difference between the two. I'll just click back because I want to see this race happening as well. So here's another chance. Gabsy currently in 7th, pushing British hard for 6th. So this is an ongoing battle. This is turning into a little private battle between the two drivers here. Oh, looked like he might have got a little bit slow on the exit there from British, giving Gabsy a chance here. He'll have his DRS. He's going to throw it up the inside, or can't see a defensive line yet being taken, taking the middle neutral line, which is completely legitimate in this. It's a very wide circuit, and a last dive. He's doing that for the. He's doing that for threat, right?
Yeah. Show someone your car. It can often make them miss their braking point, and you just step up the inside. So.
Yeah. So great stuff. Gabsy up ahead there of British. He's moved into 6th place.
I mean, that was a classic example how to use your DRS really there down that straight.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought he'd actually run a little wide there and he might have lost a little bit of pace. He's put British back on heat, I think. It's one thing passing, but you have to consolidate that pass, don't you, with threading a series of corners together with more pace than the guy behind you to take them off the heat. As I switch back to Dirk Gretschel, who is right on the tail of Vizar now. We are into the 36 minutes left of this race, and this group looks like it's going to continue to pressure each other into this middle section of the race. Fabulous racing. I don't know where to switch. It's either between British and Gabsy, or it's this group at the front. I think I'll stick with the front team.
Yeah, it's close racing here. There's going to be some position changes in a minute, I'm sure. Looks like we've had our first stop. Chargers bid into the pits and made a stop by the looks of it.
Oh, good spot. Yeah, indeed. Chargers going early, I would say. Only a handful of minutes early, but he's taken an opportunity to see if he can make a strategy have a difference here. So Charger currently running in 13th as we look at this pack of 3 continuing to put each other under pressure. Fabulous racing, really enjoyable. I think I'm seeing Vizar doing a great job of holding off, but I can see a increasing amount of pressure from Dirk while Jürgen sits at the back, keeping a comfortable distance from the two. I can't say where my money is at the minute. It's early in the race, obviously. They look very comfortable at this pace.
I mean, if Jürgen can just hang on to the back end of these two guys, often driving defensive from one of these two, and a mistake, he could end up easily walking past both of these guys.
And it's a matter of timing, isn't it? Because if you see the opportunity, if you're the man in third here, if you're Jürgen, and you see the mistake between the two drivers in front of you, it's a choice whether to go for it and pounce or not. And maybe with 34 minutes left of this race, as we see, Dirk looks like he was going to put a move on the inside there. That's not an enjoyable place to make a maneuver, which may now have given Jürgen the chance to outbrake him into T2, but he's not choosing to take that option.
No,
Keeping safe.
With a pit coming up. Oh, there you go. There you go.
There's your heavy right foot. That's pressure. So Dirk's now moved back down. He's lost his position. Jürgen goes through into third with Vizar now under pressure from Jürgen. So the pink car's changed position.
Yeah, that's how easy it is, isn't it? I say that corner is... we've got a few stops going on now. We've got British has stopped. Justin Burley down in 15th has stopped.
Yeah.
British might try and take an opportunity there to maybe claw some time back on Gabsy.
Yeah, interesting. He may have used that to release himself from that track battle. It's a legitimate strategy when you're going toe to toe with somebody and not always making the fastest lap times. And if you fancy yourself to move up the pack, maybe sometimes you need to break away from the current head-to-head you're having, and maybe that early pit stop, which may have given him a chance to separate. Really great to see. So Jürgen now taking his place as the pink car behind Vizar, continuing to apply the pressure. But Vizar, I have to say, he's withstanding the pressure admirably at this stage of the race. Going to be interesting to see how these 3 drivers choose to perform their pits. Some really great times going in here. Just to do a quick check on that, we're looking at a lap record currently, no surprises, by Martin, who has broken the 35-second barrier, so he's at 1 minute 34.980. Next nearest on track valid fast lap is in the 136s. That's incredible. That's over a second faster than anybody else at the track. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the last laps. There you go, commentators, amateur mistake. Sorry, I'll start again. Best lap, 133.468 from Martin, and 134.742, which is Dirk Gretschel. So still a considerable gap between first and second in terms of the fastest laps here, but kind of doesn't surprise given the way that Martin is gapping everyone at the front there. Let's take a little look back down through the track as we reach roughly halfway. So we have Martin Peterman streaming ahead of it, ahead of Visa, totally running away at the moment. With Visa under heavy pressure from Jürgen in third, with Dirk now recovering from a minor off. He put the boot in too hard at Einfahrt and hit the grass and then recovered, and he looks like he's got the groove back on, so he's closing the gap into that fight for second place battle, which is fabulous. Mad Al, really solid racing here. He's in fifth and looking comfortable in fifth, honestly, with Gabsy behind with 3 seconds. It'd be worth tracking that gap. That's a 3 second
slowdown. Sorry, jump in.
Oh, yes, good shout. Good shout.
Yeah, and look at Jorgen. Sorry, Dirk. Dirk's closed right up on Jorgen as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we're back to status quo. So he's played his slowdown at a place where nobody could make the pass.
He bunched him up there.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. As I was, Madal in fifth. Gabsy looks like he is maybe closing the gap. We'll keep a track on that, with Varley moving up into seventh. Now, there wasn't a time far away where I was seeing Varley quite far away down the track there, but he's now in seventh. British in eighth. FX in ninth. Marco in 10th, looking like he's exiting the pits. Perez now driving into the pits. Holm Anderson in 12th. Matto in 13th. Burley in 14th. Off track, recovering. And I'm sad to say, Charger looks like he might be joining a list of retirees for this race. Didn't see that incident. So that makes 3 retirees for the race so far. Charger, Cos and Mr. Judd.
Perez has just got himself a drive-through.
Okay. So what do we think? T1 for that? Do we think that's the first corner? It's often very easy to go way too wide as Vizar hits the pits.
In the pit lane,
yeah, so Vizar's first to make that break into the pits, leaving Jürgen and Dirk Gretschel to battle it out. So pink AMGs.
That's a smart move for Vizar. Get in, get your tyres, get back out there. These two, if they're battling, aren't going to be turning super quick laps probably.
Yeah.
He could probably gain 4 or 5 seconds here if he gets his finger out.
So what you're thinking, this is the classic undercut. Do you think these two guys are going to both dive into the pit at the end of this lap?
They'll have seen Vizar go in and know how that's going to affect him, so they'll be thinking about it. I wouldn't be surprised to see at least one of them come in next lap, unless, who knows? I have no idea what strategy they're running. So
No, that's a great corner as well. We see Jürgen there in third, with Dirk holding him off in second place. That's Jürgen being passed by Dirk Gretschel. So after an earlier mistake from Dirk, who was holding second for quite some time, made a slight off and let Vizar and Jürgen through, and then he's recovered it. So that's a really solid return to his previous position. Great work.
Yeah.
Interesting to see if either one of them decides that now is the time to defend a potential undercut from Vizar.
It's probably not going to be a huge undercut, but it might buy him a bit of clear track and give him a bit of a gap and a buffer towards the end of the race. So.
Yeah, it's very easy to get entangled. As predicted, It's looking like Dirk's taking to the pits. So we have only Jürgen and Matto in 13th to make their pit. So Jürgen will almost certainly have to pit next lap. I'm assuming there's a pit window. Excuse my ignorance.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what lap it started and stops on, but...
So with 27 minutes left of the race, just gone the halfway mark, we have Martin in first, Jürgen in second, Dirk in third, and Vizar in fourth, as the timing boards show. And there he is. Vizar looks like he's just exiting T1 as we look at Dirk, who's made a considerable jump in that lap. So either Vizar exited and had a poor outlap, or something happened in there, but that is a comfortable gap now on Vizar. With Jürgen now probably coming around. Yeah.
As I understand it, they were to take all 4 tyres, weren't they?
Yes, everyone has to take all 4 tyres, and there's little or as much fuel as you wish in your strategy.
Yeah, that's interesting. He's pulled a huge gap there, really.
Yeah, that
surprised me.
Yeah, me too. I was expecting them to re-enter pretty much within 1 or 2 seconds of each other. You never know with it. There's plenty of option to lose the time. There's obviously there's a pit speed limiter. Some drivers are much more brave to hit the brakes to make the speed than others, because it's actually quite a pain if you miss it. And I'm thinking Jürgen's going to take his pit now. So this will be interesting to watch Jürgen and his exit. I'll keep on this race, because this is effectively still the race for second place, as Jürgen enters his pit with only Matto left to make a final pit. Interesting. Look at that. Almost as a force.
Yeah.
So something's happened here to Vizar.
It makes me think he had a bad stop. Something went wrong there, didn't it?
Yeah, maybe a tech glitch, or maybe something with his pit process, but these two have pretty much mirrored each other. So the standings are Martin Peterman in first, Dirk Gretschel in second, Jürgen now in third place, and Vizar, through the pit changeover, has dropped. He was actually holding a very strong second place for most of the start of this lap, so he'll be probably driving a little bit extra hard now to try and close that gap in, as we see the 2 drivers in front now making passing moves on a back marker. Yeah, you can see there's a little overdrive there as Vizar exits the hairpin. He's starting to get the heat on, as Mad Al now puts a hell of a lot of pressure on Gabzi. This is great. I mean, Mad Al's been having a great race already, but now he's really picking up the pace. We are on new tyres. We're into the final sprint of the race, and Mad Al's really pushing. Gabzi seems to have been dropped a little bit by British here, maybe a little bit of.
I think going into the stops, wasn't Mad Al a little way up the track from Gabzi? I seem to remember he was some 8 or 9 seconds up the track from Gabzi. So I think Gabzi's done something right, and that's actually brought those guys close together there, hasn't it? 5th, 5th, 6th and 7th. That's going to be an interesting race there. Is Giacoli within reach? I'm thinking he might be.
It's interesting. We are looking at a half a second gap here between Mad Al and Gabzi. Around 16 seconds up the road from Gabzi is actually British. Is that true? That's not true, is it? Look, that's definitely not true. That's my timing board's gone crazy. They're in visual, so that's got to be 2 or 3 seconds max. And Vizar is up the road now, exiting T3. So he looks like he's 10 seconds ahead, as Miguel Perez is disqualified for ignoring a drive-through penalty. Don't know what to say about that, really. Drive-throughs are drive-throughs. You have to take them. It's the law of the game.
It's an own goal.
It's a total own goal. You can't really expect anything but disqualification there. Sad for Perez, but it was almost certain written on his screen, so I'm not going to have too much sympathy. Mad Al keeping the squeeze on here. This is looking like a really interesting mid to end race battle here as we build up. It's an interesting circuit when you take a good look at Hockenheimring. We have a really technical section in this final quarter of the track in the infield, as was the stadium complex. Some very, very slow corners which need very careful application of the throttle, and then just some absolute blasting sections where your foot's flat to the floor, buried both around the parabolica and actually going into the sequence after Spitzkehre. just a really interesting variety. It must make it difficult to set up a car. What's your advice for set up amateurs like me, Helmut, when it comes to tracks like this?
It's difficult, really. Everyone's driving style depends on what you like. I mean, I would set a car up to suit how I would like it to handle and drive, and other people would jump in it and go, God alive, I don't know how you get that around the track. So, everybody sets a car up to suit them, but you just want something that's neutral, balanced, not, that you're not fighting. If you can turn consistent laps in it, then you'll get a consistent finish. A balanced car, you want something that's equally as good all the way around the track without being useless in one bit of the track and really, really good on another bit.
Yeah. So where do you make the compromise then? If you've got a balanced car, then it's either going to be slow around the technical sections or it's going to be slow up the straight. And it's like you said, I guess your driving style is the preferential where you balance the car.
Yeah, I mean, I think often I might be wrong, but I think a common mistake a lot of people think is, take all the aero off, it'll be super quick.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, what you gain on the straight from aero, I guarantee you're going to lose a lot more around the corners and other twisty bits of the track. So it doesn't always work that way. It's really, really tough. I mean, the tuning is a bit of a black art. Some people find it easy, some people don't. But I would suggest, people start out one change at a time. And learn what does what and how it affects your lap times, individually. One mistake I gotta say is I think people can, give me your setup, it'll make me super quick. Rarely does that happen,
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think that's one of those things that you like me, if you're not so confident about how to set up a car, you think if I borrow somebody else's I'll go quicker. It's irrelevant. It's like saying can I borrow your suit for an interview? You might be 4 stone different from the other person. It's not how it works. Your style is your style, the way you handle the steering wheel. If you're short or long shifting, how you apply the brakes and how gentle or not you are with the throttle is very much down to personal preference. And I think it's absolutely fantastic that sims can actually replicate that type of behavior.
Really
if you've ever been on a track, it seems. Oh, that's an interesting. Oh, we have contact. Cars in front, contact, but I think we might be safe. Or did we lose one? No. Now it gets even more hairy as Maral has to defend now for British.
He does. Now, luckily for Gabsy, he's just far enough to stay out of trouble here. Yeah. I mean, look, he's up in 5th place. That's a great drive for Gabsy and Al and British. Don't take anything from those guys.
No, absolutely. British qualified in P8. He's now currently running in P7, so he's in the mark of where he was.
Can we get a wide shot? Let's see how far Gabsy is behind Jacoli. What do you think?
Gabsy's tightening up, I think, isn't he? There's Gabsy. He looks like, by the timing board here, I've got 27 seconds, is he, from Vizar? I can't say whether I believe this. So Vizar is now exiting onto Parabolica, with Gabsy now entering T1. I think that gap is pretty much maintaining here. It doesn't look to be too different. What is interesting is Jürgen is continuing to pressure Dirk. And it's at this phase of the race, with 19 minutes to go. Does it get to gloves off? What's your feeling, Helmut? Do you start saying, okay, I've tracked you long enough, it's now time for me to start meaning the pressure I apply?
Just over, nearly almost 20 minutes to go. I think both of them are going to be conscious that they've got a good position on track. They don't want to do anything silly. So, that will be in their heads, but both of them will want to be second. So I think, I hope we don't see a bump and a scrape in the corners from braking or something like that, but they're going to race to the end. I think that's obvious. Who? I think, based on what I've seen today, Gretschel probably is the stronger bet. But again, I don't know. They're very closely matched.
It's really interesting when Dirk makes a mistake earlier and loses some places, maybe 3 or 4 seconds. He gathers that back within 5 laps, but he doesn't seem to be able to drop Jürgen here.
DRS won't help him with that, will it?
That's a fair point. That'll keep somebody on your tail in this for a long, long time. That's a very good observation. Yeah, absolutely.
again, like I said earlier, Jürgen's got the advantage potentially if he can utilise the DRS on this section of track we're watching now. He might be able to put a last lap pass on him and make it stick.
You think it's something you'd hold that long for? You wouldn't feel tempted to try that move?
I mentioned to you earlier there was one of the league races in our last 2016 DTM that I purposely held out on Monza till the last lap to use my DRS and pass someone, knowing that he would have had DRS on me and taken me back the next lap. So tactics definitely work in that.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one, isn't it? When you're racing with somebody, whether you're in front or behind of them, you start to read each other, and you see the way the other person takes the corners, the way they brake, the way they take the lines, and you start to believe that that's their normal way of driving. But it could all be subterfuge. It could all be like you did. You hold back on the DRS, you look like you're never threatening on corner 3 or corner 4, and then suddenly in the final lap you're right on it, and it's like it's all been just a little bit of a cheat.
Oh, I wish it was that easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an option. He might be lucky and make that stick. He's going to want to. Jürgen's going to want second. I would. So he'll do what he can to try and get that second place.
Yeah, agreed. As FX start to apply pressure on British. So we're looking at the fight now for 7th place. British is about 4 seconds back from Gabsy in 6th, and FX has been slowly creeping up here and applying the pressure. So this pack and the pack in front continues to be well fought after. So this is the fight between Mad Al, Gabsy, British and FX, all quite totally packed into this group here. And it's interesting. I think Gabsy's made such a steady progress through it. He's obviously, really having a very, very consistent race in terms of timings. It looks like he's got the opportunity here. Madal does a very nice defensive move, keeps it slow, like almost a block maneuver there to keep it slow on the inside. These guys a little bit better than I do, Helmut. Who's the one who's hot-headed around here? And nobody should be offended by being hot-headed, by the way.
The two we're watching, Al and Gabsy.
Yeah.
I know Gabsy much better than I do Al, but Al seems a pretty calm customer, actually. He seems to me like a pretty laid-back character. I know Gabsy's going to be trying really hard. He will be hungry to make that pass and gain every position he will. I'm the same. You want to do as well as you can. I don't think he's going to get flustered. I think, but Al will be, or appears to me to be someone you don't get flustered on the track. He seems a cool customer.
Well, I can certainly vouch for that. Tuesday night, I couldn't make him make a mistake.
So then.
I have my own opinion, but I only have one race on which to judge that. I could not shift him. He was not going to change anything about the way he drove. It was pretty difficult to work out how to make a move. So he was solid under pressure. It looks like that's going to be the case here. Gabsy doing great here as British starts to makes a move actually on FX. They're fighting these two guys here for position. So great battle there. FX looks like he's got the run on it.
I mean, the bunny rabbit on the front of FX's car has got to be worth another 5 mile an hour, isn't it, surely?
Yeah, it's a giveaway sign, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm just playing at it.
Yeah, fabulous.
So we're at the sort of 15-minute mark, or 13 minutes to go. Yep. We start thinking about who we think driver of the race is.
It's difficult to choose, isn't
it? For me,
yeah, you go for it.
15 minutes to go, but for me, we were seeing him a minute ago, Al. I think that's a cracking drive for Al. He qualified strong, and he's running a strong race now. Look, he's not phased. He's keeping the lap times up.
Yeah, he's having an absolutely outstanding series here, as you see. Really consistent. I mean, that's a number of 35s, and he's dropped into the 34s there, which is unfortunately invalid, but still showing the pace he's capable of. Holding Gabsy at bay right now, but this looks to continue to hot up. I'd say, I have to say, Mad Al made great progress. He qualified really well. He qualified in P4. He's currently in 5th. But his qualification was stellar, and he's had to cope with quite a lot of incidents around the track. Gabsy gets a millimetre off the back of him there. That's absolutely fantastic car
close.
control in one of the hardest corners on the track. Fantastic driving. Yeah, I think it's a toss-up between Mad Al for me. I just can't help but think that Jürgen might have this on Gretschel at the front there. So Jürgen's had a great race again, solidly. I'm picking on the guys at the front, and I'm just going to assume that Martin wins driver of the day all the time. And what we're really talking about is the other driver of the day, because Martin is just imperious at the front at the moment. So I think I might say maybe for me, mine might be Walby, but you get the shout.
Oh no! We got 12 minutes to go yet. Let's see, anything can
Plenty
happen.
of opportunity to revise that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at the previous races. I did miss watching a couple of these, to be fair, but last race at Zandvoort, it looked like Jürgen got second, which is a strong finish, and Al so far his best finish has been a 10th at Mid Ohio. But let's see. Let's see. Hopefully he's going to hold his place, him and Gabsy.
Go on board with Gabsy, see if he can make his mark here. So 11 minutes to go, lapping it around about 1 minute and 30. That puts it down to 7, 8 laps, something like that, to take us to the finish. It's always, for me, never can work out when the right time to make a move is. Do I have the outright pace to get ahead and pass someone and keep my lead, or do I need to make a maneuver at the end? This depends on how you're feeling and how your rhythm has been growing through the race. It looks like he's not defending very heavily here. Mad Al is maybe going to take a wide defensive line here as they go into Spitzkehre. Oh, he's going to go for the under. No, he's not. That's interesting. He seemed to slightly give that maneuver. There was no defense on the run-in and no major defense in the corner. So
probably
maybe
just being careful. Neither of them wants to throw that place away. So you can't rule that out.
No. Or maybe thinking he prefers to be in the chasing position as we close out this race, that sometimes it's easier to be the one putting the pressure on rather than the one in pressure, but it's a risk to give up to track position, but maybe he's just being really, really careful not to have a on-track contact there.
Well, he's got the chance to watch Gabsy's lines. Yeah. He'll have the DRS bonus of being able to use that potentially when it suits him. So it's not over yet for Al, I don't think.
Nope. I'll just do a quick run through. We're coming to 10 minutes before the end of this race. We're looking at Martin Peterman taking an interesting line. In there through lap 32, he's currently in the lead comfortably over Dirk Gretschel, who is in second place, and this battle continues to brew as we join a backmarker rejoining here. Can't see who that is. This just continues to heat up, so we have two really great on tracks. We have Gabsy and Mad Al, Jürgen Walby and Dirk Gretschel fighting it out for their track positions. With Vizar in fourth, he was very strong in second for most of the race and then had some issues over the changeover. We'll find out about that, I guess, at the end. Gabsy in fifth here, just holding off Mad Al, who looks to be ready to pounce, in sixth. FX in seventh. That gap is probably keeping around the same. I'm not sure whether FX is going to claw that back with 9 minutes to go, but let's keep an eye on that. British is in 8th. He's slightly been dropped very much up there at the start of that racing, but he may have actually just been pegged a little bit back. Maybe he's got some damage here. Marco, great racing in 9th here, with Holm Anderson in 10th. Phil Varley in 11th. Matto in 12th and Justin Burley in 13th. We've had 4 retirements with Charger, Cos, Mr. Judd and Miguel Perez as we rejoin the battle for second between Dirk and Jürgen. Take a water break.
Yeah, these guys are going to be tired. I mean, it's been full on for them the whole race, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And if it wasn't just the two of them battling, it was the three of them battling with Vizar for some laps. I was saying about it before. I mean, it's very hot in the UK today. I always get extremely hot when I do any sim racing, even though I've forked out for an aircon unit. it's going to be sweaty, let's be honest. You do an hour after 15-20 minutes quali and 15-20 minutes of practice, and it's pretty hard work. Yeah, heart rate is actually quite high. That's actually one of the things I was interested in. The worst parts of lockdown over these last 2 or 3 months, we've seen a lot of professional drivers taking to sim racing online just to keep their eye in and profiles up. But many of them have commented on their live streams how stressful sim racing can be. Actually interesting to hear that reflection, given how much stress they must have as real professional racers.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I've got mates that I used to race the motocross with, and those guys, and some of them, I've said, no, this gets your adrenaline going. It really does. You get the similar sort of buzz from actually real racing. Nah, you're talking nonsense, mate. You must be.
It's a video game.
Yeah, but it does, doesn't it? You actually
really
do get a buzz from it.
It really does. It's surprising, actually. It's kind of the right mixture of anxiety, excitement, nervousness, and then at the end, relief, enjoyment. The whole thing is just this great mixture, and I think that's credit to all the guys who put this great software together. And also, let's be honest, in fairness to the club, I mean, RWB runs this really great program of racing all the way through the week. Each week, lots of variety in the way that the racing does. It's such an open ethic for racing, so everyone can be involved. It doesn't matter whether you're a pro driver or you've just turned up to sim racing. The whole of the team is wide arms, open. Welcome to join. If you've liked watching this race, just jump in. Everyone was really, really friendly, really, really helpful. And if it wasn't like that, and if this was open server work, many of these passing moves end up with a T-bone or someone spinning off, and it's just frustrating and anger creating. So it's credit to the drivers and the people here that make this such great fun.
Yeah, the admin team and the guys, they put on a really good show and really good events. Everyone's effort is well appreciated. We have some good racing. Look at
Indeed.
These guys. This is really hotting up now.
Yeah, this is the closing 2 or 3 laps here between Jürgen, who will certainly be thinking about making his move now as he goes side by side into Einfahrt. He holds back. It's a great opportunity. Oh, and they see it there again, that telltale. He's put his foot down a little bit too heavy. Dirk's got too excited, and he's opened the door to Jürgen down this back straight, who has DRS. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is interesting though. Car in front, DRS. Car behind, no DRS. But he's got the toe. Very, very little tread difference at the end of that straight, which seems to be harsh, if you like, on Jürgen, who rightly applied pressure there safely, and Dirk slightly folded at that moment as he got excited to keep his gap. But I can tell by the way Dirk clawed back to his position before, he enjoys also applying the pressure. This is great closing racing.
Yeah, if he can just keep this on the track and keep that position, he's had a good race. That's a good result for him.
Yeah, it's a shame that this is probably not going to affect the final championship places, but it's just great to see these two drivers really pegging each other in these last couple of laps. It looks to me like Dirk has been dropped here. Maybe I was right all along. Jürgen, he could well be.
Maybe.
He might just be on the border of outside. This is impressive. I mean, if ever there was a strategy to play out, Jürgen's played this beautifully, positioning his car for that final couple of laps. He's just got to hold himself together for the next couple of laps, just keep it calm, and he should make this great second place, which would be a great result from qualifying in P5 to making P2. If I skim down the track here, as we said before, racing happens all the way through the circuit. Holm Anderson now putting some pressure on Phil Varley back here in place 11. This is also one of those closing battles for the end of the race, so tag this for a couple of seconds, but I can see that Dirk and Jürgen on my scoreboard here are keeping close pegging on each other. Holm Anderson looking to make a move with a couple of laps to go as we close into the final 3 minutes of this race. Martin Peterman, he's taken this whole championship as his own. from the very first drive through all 4 races, and he looks like a comfortable winner of this race if he can keep it together for the next 2 minutes. Jürgen, now, is he gapping? They look like they're still going for it between themselves there, Jürgen and Dirk. Battling for second. It's fantastic. Visar really just struggled in the middle section after his pit, which was a shame. He would have been right up in that battle. I don't think it's going to affect his championship position. Gabsy made some great progress through the race, and Madal, who was pegging him for a while, had to move out, and he's taken 6th place there. FX looking like he's quite comfortable in 7th, with British in 8th, Marco in 9th. Phil Varley still defending Holm Anderson here. This is going to go to the last lap by the look of it. Holm Anderson in that's fight for 10th place. And Matto, who has had a timing penalty, is now in 12th, and Justin Burley here in 13th. So it's either this battle, which is well worth following.
Not giving up.
He's not giving up. Oh, fantastic driving. Look at that. They're going to go.
Drive out the corner, though.
2 by 2 into this next fast right-hander. Oh, that's interesting. Jürgen is now in 3rd place. So it's actually Dirk who's made the move on the inside there. Jürgen will be fuming in the car. Keeping the pressure on.
Hold on to that.
There's still another lap after this by the look of it. We're 1 minute 27. I think Martin might have passed through, but there's still going to be another lap.
You get that DRS, Jürgen, and that's your one last chance, mate.
Yep. Oh, this is fantastic. This is absolutely stunning racing, under pressure with cars with no traction control, blitzing around this circuit, making very, very few mistakes, door to door, wheel to wheel. Absolutely wonderful. Walby in 3rd, Gretschel in 2nd. As we go into, I think, the final lap here. I'll keep this race going, because this looks like the main race that's happening on the track at the moment.
I don't think he's close enough to do it down the Parabolica.
So, with a few seconds left, would you revise your driver of the day, or would you stick with it? I'm certainly sticking with Jürgen Walby as my driver of the day.
Well, interestingly, in the YouTube stream, we had a few people bigging up Gabsy as the driver of the event as well. So
that's a shout. That's a fair shout.
And when you look at his results, I mean, he's had a 7th and 2 6th places.
Correct. And this P5 he looks like he's driving into was from a P11 quali. So yeah, that's a fair shout. Gabsy would rightly take driver of the day. It's always a very difficult decision. Oh, that looked like he got very close there. Yeah. There's just hardly any option to pass now. You either go for it on this little straight, but you really can't. There's no room to manoeuvre. Fabulous racing.
No, that's it.
Absolutely amazing. That was just great. You could never guess which way that was going to go. Jürgen looked in control as he started to drive away. Dirk clawed it back. He's drifting it for the final corner, Jürgen. Fabulous racing. We have Peterman in 1st, Dirk Gretschel in 2nd, and Jürgen Walby in 3rd. If I hit Auto Director, I believe it should show me the cars as they all pass. So Visar in 4th. Absolutely fantastic racing. If we get a chance,
there was some good racing there, really good.
Yeah, just great. Everyone keeping it really clean all the way throughout the racing. No major incidents, no off tracks that were caused by any dodgy overtake moves at all. Really clean, and that's what makes it so exciting to watch. I never thought I could get this excited about commentating on a sim, to be honest, but it's just such great racing. It's really enjoyable. As we see BGB British hitting 8th place, Marco behind him. It looks like Phil Farley potentially has held off the attack from Holm Anderson, so this is Phil. As we look at the race conclusion. So race winner, championship winner, Martin Peterman. When we get a chance, let's drag him into the commentator's box and the helmet. Maybe you can hand him the mic and wrestle it back off him if you get a chance. great racing, Martin. Kudos. Just been absolutely stellar driving all the way through this championship, and he showed what quality driver he is today as well. A super battle for second between Gretchen and Walby, which was even more exciting partially at the start when Vizar was in the mix as well. Just great racing. Gabsy steadily progressing all the way up from P11 to 5 and had a great championship so far to finish this off. Madal also really solid driving with FX putting some pressure on towards the end. British was strong mid section and then faded away slightly towards the end. But just really, really great racing as we welcome to the booth. Vizar's jumped in, which is great. Gabsy's jumped in, and Martin. So over to you, Helmut. I'll let you take the post-race discussion.
No worries. So, guys, that was some brilliant racing to watch there. Normally don't get the chance to watch races like that, but that was really, really good to watch. So let's start from the top, shall we? Martin, that was incredible to watch, mate. Your pace was incredible, really good. Perfect race. Hello, Martin.
Go on, Martin.
No.
Can you hear me?
Hey,
yeah. Very good.
So, Martin, that looked a perfect race. You had some incredible pace. I think it was the perfect race for you. I didn't see a mistake.
I planned to do one lap more, but I was a little bit too slow. But out of that, I just went into the cockpit this evening because of vacation this week. And it went well, I would say.
Yeah, congratulations, mate. Flawless wins every week there for a win, overall win. Really good. Well done. So Vizar, a strong second place finish in the championship, but a fourth place finish in today's race. I think we just lost him. Yeah,
yes,
we just lost Vizar. He might come back in a second.
Disgusted with being second in the championship.
Yeah, he finished a strong second, but he might come back. Gabsy.
Oh,
mate, I think that was incredible to watch. I mean, you didn't qualify particularly well. I think you probably were capable of better than that, but you sure as hell made up for it in the race, pulling your way through the pack. You pleased with that result?
I am, yeah. For these Fridays, I don't practice at all. I just turn up and drive and hope for the best. As you said, qualifying wasn't that good, but I kind of like starting at the back and working my way through as much as I can anyway. It makes for a good race like that. So,
yeah, it was really, really good to watch. I mean, you were putting pressure on everybody that you came up behind, and it was great to see, mate. And well done with your third overall in the championship, as I see it.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thank you very much.
So, Vizar, sorry, I guess you crashed or lost connection then.
Yeah, do you hear me now?
So, mate, second place in the championship and a fourth place today, but you had some incredible laps there. How did your pit stop go? We think you lost a lot of time in the pit stop, did you?
Yeah, that's always been my weakest point. I didn't know where the place where to activate the speed limit, and I guess there I lost some seconds. Other than that, I tried to drive as consistent as possible.
Well, it was good to watch, and I mean, you held your pace and managed to keep your position on track, and I think that stands you in for your second overall in the championship. So,
sorry, can I butt in there?
Yeah, go for it, mate. Yeah.
Were you fuel saving something in the end, Vizar? Or were your tyres gone, or what? Because I was catching you quite fast in the end. I wish there was a couple more laps because I would have been on your tail then.
I don't know. At the end, after the pit stop, I just kept losing. I mean, the two guys in front of me kept gaining, with the speed and increasing the distance. I don't know. I was then just trying to finish the race and keep the fourth position.
Yeah, man. He did well anyway. Well done.
Yeah, you all did really well.
It was great driving with you guys, and thanks for the great commentating.
Yeah, thanks, commentators. Great job, as usual.
Pleasure. It's just great watching it when the racing's so tight and so honest. It's just fabulous to watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
So thanks very much, guys. I'll wrap us up. Don't forget, tomorrow it's the GT4 League. It's stage 2. We have 3-tier competition. In tier 1, we've got Moyes, Findog, and Nate Newcomer running the top of the table at the moment. In tier 2, we've got Rigel, Carzolia, and Isaac 93. And in tier 3, we've got scoring. We've got Scott Free, Felk, and Just Mac running those. So great racing coming up. The next session is at Silverstone, set for tomorrow. So all of you, I'm sure, have been putting in the hours on GT4 to make sure that you're ready for tomorrow's race. And it's been great to close off this tournament, this series. It's been fantastic. Love watching the DTM16s running around these tracks. And just to close off, don't ever race alone. If you've got a moment and you're on your own, make sure you race at RWB. So with that, I'll say cheers and good night.